just say straight off the bat, I'm gonna try to limit the background noise as much as humanly possible, but the amount of people that have been mowing their grass or just making a lot of loud noises because it's somewhat of a nice day now in Scotland. I pray this isn't the only sunlight we get to see for the rest of the year. I pray that this is what we have to look forward to, because it is so nice when the sun is actually out. There's blue skies. I'm very happy. So today's video is one that I've been kind of procrastinating doing because I haven't read that many books this month. So this is sort of like a mix between a reading wrap up and what I want to read in the following month. I've just been so damn busy that I've not really had enough time to even read. So yeah, and I think over the next month I'm again going to be very, very busy. So I don't know how much I'm going to get to read, but I do try to make reading a priority in my life. I love reading books, but that doesn't always happen. And a lot of the time I try to read before I go to bed, and the amount of times that I wake up, my iPad leaning on the pillow next to me, and I don't remember the page that I've just read. So yeah, sometimes reading just relaxes me a bit too much, and I don't actually get to enjoy it before I go to bed. It knocks me out. I finally have fake nails on again. So I'm just gonna get into it. Yeah, as I said, I've not read that many books this month, but the books that I have read, I want to talk about. So as always, Kindle Unlimited is the best. I read 3 books. 1, 2, 3. 3 books this month, and they were all on my Kindle. The Kindle is just it's the most convenient way for me to read. So it's just, it always ends up being the way I do it, end up reading my books. Okay. So the first book I read this month was honestly the reason that I ended up only reading 3 books this month. So the first book I read is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Now, first of all, look how stunning this cover is. I adore this cover. I think it's gorgeous. Now this book is quite long. It is like 700 plus pages, and that wasn't even part of the reason why it took me so long to get through this book. I've kind of touched on this already, but I didn't say the name of the book, so I've not like directly spoken about this book. But basically this is a whole new fantasy, very, very deep fantasy book. So if you're not into that, if you're not into extreme world building, like she's building a whole new thing from scratch. I think there's around 20-ish pages of glossary talking about like how to pronounce certain things, talking about certain terms, and talking about certain like monsters, creatures that are in this. So yeah, there's a very in-depth glossary before you even start the book, and for me it took me a minute to get into this book, because it's a whole this year. So I think I have a bit to wait until the second book comes out. But I would highly recommend this if you like fantasy, if you like romance. This is unreal. If you like action, if you like a complicated but strong female main character, this is for you. There's multiple point of views in this book, okay? Mainly it follows the main character. I want to call her Reeve, but I think her name is Rave. In my head, Reeve kind of sounds better, but in the glossary I think it's more Rave than Reeve. But she's so cool, and she has such a complicated life, and just she is a very complex character. There's a lot to learn through this book, so the multiple point of views doesn't really make sense until you get into the story. So for me, I was kind of like, why? I don't understand. And then there's a lot of information you get that makes it make sense. Yeah, this book is crazy. So basically, the main character, Rave, whatever, she is part of this kind of rebellion group that are going against the king and the kind of corrupt government that are ruling where she lives. There's like 3 different realms in this world as well. In this world, you're either born with powers or you are a null, and the nulls get like a little clip in their ear to let people know that they are a null and they are powerless. And those who are born with powers can hear the elemental songs from the elements, which I found this really, really cool. Basically, these people draw their power and get power by speaking and understanding the voices and songs of the elements. They are like elemental gods, and I thought it was really interesting. So they wear like earrings showing what elemental songs they can hear. The interesting thing about our main character is that she has a clip in her ear suggesting she can't hear any of them, but she is hiding the fact that she can in fact hear the elemental songs. She's in disguise. I'm pretty sure in her world as well it's like illegal to do that, but I suppose she's part of the rebellion, so she doesn't really care. So the story kicks off with her on one of her missions, kind of quest from her rebellion group, and unfolds from there. I really don't want to say too much because I didn't go into this book knowing much. I kind of read the back and was like, okay, here we go. I've heard good things. I'm intrigued. It did not disappoint me. I did not rate this 5 stars though, and I think the only reason being it was quite difficult to wrap your head around everything, at least for me. I found that the world is so vast that even in 700 plus pages it could not be covered nearly in depth because there's so much. But I do think she set herself up for a really strong following book, and I don't know how many books she's planning to do in this series, but I think, yeah, the next ones are going to be even better because she's already built a good foundation for the next books. So I'm excited, even though it's probably going to be like 2 years away, because I reckon a lot of hard work goes into a book like this. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I did rate it like a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, and it took me quite a long time because I had to be paying attention when I was reading it. The language isn't the easiest. Like, there's a lot of terms that she again has in her glossary, so I was flicking back and forth quite a lot wish they were a bit more of a strong part. I guess they sort of were in like in a subtle way, but yeah, I thought they were going to be a bit more of a main focus. I didn't hate the way it panned out, but I would love to see more of the dragons going forward. This was just a really fun, unique read for me. I've been reading fantasy and I've read a lot of amazing fantasy, but this one just kind of felt very new and very original, which I enjoyed a lot, even though because of that it did make it a bit more difficult to get into. I appreciate, you know, the effort that's went into this, because building a world as big as she's trying to do is not easy. So yeah, I would really recommend this. Maybe not to the people who don't like heavy world building and like complicated fantasies, but I would very much recommend this for the people who like an in-depth fantasy and romance. This is good. This is very, very good. And there is major plot twists. When I got to the end of the book, I was like, oh, what? Everything just sort of starts to click into place as you go through the book, and yeah, it's really, really well done. And I'm just excited to see what happens next. I'm almost really annoyed that it's going to be so long until I can read book 2. After I kind of immersed myself in that world, I wanted to just step back and have something quick and fun and exciting to keep me hooked. I read The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. Now, I read last month The Inmate by Frida McFadden, and as much as I consumed that book, I was left kind of, I didn't love it. I'm pretty sure The Housemaid is Frida McFadden's most popular book, from what I remember. Or from what I've heard. I think this is her most popular one. It's like, I'm just gonna read it, see if I like it. And you know, this was way better than The Inmate in my opinion. The twists and turns were way more enjoyable, and although not very realistic in my opinion, maybe that's just not the way she likes to write her books. She likes to write them quite far-fetched. I enjoyed it way more. The main character's name is Millie, and she went to prison for, I think it was 10 years, for, we're not really in on that until later in the story. So, she went to prison, and she's just got out, she's looking for a job, she's really struggling, and she comes across this couple who need a housemaid, someone to cook and clean and take care of her daughter as well sometimes. And she goes to the interview, seems really good, seems like she's going to be getting paid, she's going to be able to like live with them as well in their gorgeous house. So she assumes she's not going to get it, because as soon as the woman, the wife, does background checks, she's going to find out she was in prison, and she's going to be like, no, never mind, I don't want you working with me. But that doesn't happen. Millie gets offered the job and she moves in. All happens very quickly. And another little nuance of the story is that she is also going to be living in their attic in this tiny little bedroom that has like not a working window, a lock on the outside of the door, and a fridge, like a mini fridge, and like a tiny little bed. So Millie's like, this is a bit weird that I'll be living in their attic. She doesn't really have a choice, so she accepts it. And when she starts the job, she soon realises that the wife is a bit unhinged. There's a lot of issues going on in this household that start to kind of unravel, and it starts to become a very difficult situation for Millie to exist in. And there's also a gardener who has kind of like warned Millie time and time again, like, you need to get out of this house, it's not safe for you to be here. And he's very wary story about the couple that she's working for. He kind of like scuttles away every time that they are approaching or they are nearby. So there's a lot of secrets that Millie kind of doesn't understand, but slowly, the truth comes out. And guys, there was a twist in this book that I was not expecting. There was a twist that I was expecting because I feel like it kind of, part of it was almost too obvious, and I'm always like, I don't know, that's too in my face. But there was multiple twists and really exciting book. Definitely kept me gripped. I think I read this in 2 days, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I won't be reading. I think there's maybe a second and a third. I know there's definitely a second. The ending, I liked the way it ended off, but I wouldn't read the second book because I just feel like I just know what's gonna happen now. So that's just not for me. I'm happy to leave it where it is. I don't know if it's the psychological thriller that I enjoy the most. Like with Verity, I love that creeped out, eerie feeling that a psychological thriller gives you. I crave that. And I felt like at certain points this lacked that. It lacked that creepy factor that I love. Maybe I need to read more horror books or something, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if it was as thrilling as I was expecting. So yeah, maybe in that factor, it could have given me a bit more. It was like a 3-star read, you know. Nothing amazing, but I definitely enjoyed this more than The Inmate. A lot more. So I am happy to have read it. Okay, so the book I moved on to after that, I was again back in my fantasy mood. That's what I've been really loving recently. I just love escaping to like a different world. And I have had this on my list for so long, and I've always heard such good things about it. I don't know why. I'm not sure why it took me so long to actually read this book. But I read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is my first ever Holly Black book. And guys, I loved this book. This is so good. I'm so excited to read the other books in the series. That's the book I want to move on to next. But I've literally just been so busy and I've not had time to. But my goodness, I love this book. I loved the characters. I'm so sad it's taken me this long to actually get into this series, but I'm also at the same time kind of glad because I get to enjoy it so much now. So this is a fantasy book, kind of got some romance and action in it as well, I guess. There's some like politics as well. So this book follows the main character called Jude, which I love that name. I absolutely love that name. I think it's so pretty for a girl name as well. Jude is human and she has 2 sisters, one of which is a twin and the other of which is her older sister. She's her half sister and she's a fairy. She's part of the fairy realm. She's not human anyway. So the book starts off when the girls are all really young and they initially were all living in the human world, and then something big happens and they all end up going to the fairy realm. And so these 2 worlds do coexist to some extent. There are fairies that live in the human world and there are humans that live in the fairy world, but they are like separate entities. Okay, you can travel between them, but they are separate. I didn't like the human realm part. I feel like it's very jarring, and it's just very jarring for me when I'm reading a book and they're talking about modern day stuff. I don't like that. So big reason why I don't really read contemporary books is because I don't like the whole real world thing. mention like TikTok and Apple and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't like that because it kind of throws me off. I just don't really vibe with it. But it is a very minor part, so I wasn't too bothered by it. So basically, this follows Jude and are kind of trying to fit into the fairy realm. She has classes with her sister, and there's a young prince in her classes that likes to taunt her and kind of make fun of her and make her life hell, essentially. And her sister is much more of like a pushover. She is like, oh, I just want to fit in, like, just let them be, just let them make fun of you, don't bite back. But Jude is not like that. She can't stand it, and she doesn't care, and she'll stand up for herself, and I love that. I love that as much as she does want to fit in, really, she doesn't take the crap that they give her. And I just think she's a really, really interesting main character, and even more so the more I read, I was like, damn, I was not expecting that. She was surprising me, so I was like enjoying that. I really did not like her sister at all. I like the fairy sister, not her twin sister. So her life is very complicated living in fairy as a human. All the fairies think they're better than her and treat her like crap, essentially. Especially this prince and all of his goons. The political thing is quite a significant factor in this as well. There is a current fairy king who's had like a very long ruling, and it's all through the bloodline that you inherit the crown. So he is about to kind of nominate one of his sons or daughter to be the next ruler of the fairy world, because he's getting quite old. So sorry, my hair is like tickling my face. So that's kind of on the horizon, and there's stuff that I'm not going to go into too much detail about the whole political thing, because that's something you just have to kind of read through. But I love this book, guys. This was so enjoyable for me, and this is insane. This is a journey. There's multiple kind of twists and turns in this book, that one of which I should have expected. I should have saw it coming, but I didn't, and it took me off guard. Like, this has some romance in it, but it's really not the main. It's not the main thing in this book, which I thought was quite refreshing. It definitely leans more on the fantasy and just being her own person and her own character development. And yeah, I just found it really interesting. Really, really interesting. There was definitely a lack of like other characters that I really enjoyed, to be honest. Jude was the main focus for the most part. There was a few other side characters that were quite enjoyable, but yeah, I hope that maybe the next books delve a bit more into that, and I am very, very intrigued as to what's going to happen, because the ending was interesting. It was definitely interesting. So that's the 3 books that I read this month, and I think in order I would rank them: Cruel Prince, When the Moon Hatched, and then Housemaid. So if I think Cruel Prince is at the top because it was so much of an easier read, but I do think in the grand scheme of things, When the Moon Hatched was a better book, and I did enjoy it a bit more. But if I was to also recommend books, that would be the order probably that I would recommend them. So yeah, that was my 3 books I read, and I also have been dipping in and out of Electra. this is a Greek myth retelling. The only reason I didn't finish this month is because I haven't really been picking up physical books. Whenever I'm on the go, I always have my iPad, so it's much easier to just read that way. If I'm reading right before bed, I usually have my lights out and just my iPad on like a low brightness setting with like some fairy lights on, so I can't really pick up a book like this and get into like my comfy sleepy mode, so I tend to do it on my iPad. So this is one I definitely want to finish next month, but I just need to remember that I have physical books too. Okay, so that's on my TBR, along with, I think it's Wicked King as book 2 and the Cruel Prince, and I think it's the Folk of the Air series. I can't quite remember, but the second book after Cruel Prince is Wicked King, I'm sure. So I want to read that big time. And another book that I got that I'm so excited about, guys. Oh my god! But that's not even the most exciting part. It's got sprayed edges. Stop. I've never owned a book with sprayed edges before. This is so cool. I was looking for this everywhere. After work, there's a bookshop near me, and I kept going, seeing if they were going to get it. I was like, oh, I don't think they're going to get it. I'm going to need to order it or something. And I saw it yesterday. I saw it after work. It's like, give me that right now. Give me that. I grabbed it so fast. I just can't get over how pretty this is. The ivy and then the like pin, and it like wraps around the ivy. It's so cool. I saw they had it, and then I picked it up and realised it had sprayed edges. Oh my god. So, but you can't tell, I'm pretty excited about that. So this is Powerful. So this is, I think it's book 2, either that or it's book like 1.5, because it's like a short story. But it is part of the Powerless series. I read Powerless by Lauren Roberts a couple months ago now, but that was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved that book. And I'm so excited for Reckless to come out. This is the book that follows the main character in Powerless, Peyton, her best friend that she left behind when she went to the trials. So this follows her. I think her name's... So this follows Adina is her name. And it kind of fills in the blanks of what happens while Peyton is away. And I'm really curious. I'm really curious books often these days because I have Kindle Unlimited. There really isn't a point, but I couldn't help myself. This was a nice treat. It's just so cool. I can't believe I own this. So, I'm going to read the blurb to this. A sizzling and heart-racing news story set in the kingdom of Elia. Adina and Peyton have always been inseparable. Fate brought them together when they were young, but friendship ensured they would always protect each other and the home they built in the slums of Lut. But now Peyton, an ordinary, has been selected for the purging trials, which means almost certain death. Now alone in Lut, Adina must fend for herself. After attempting to steal, it's a mysterious man from the market who comes to her rescue. Mac's shadowy past and secretive power set him apart from the other low-level elites of Lut, and as the pair team up to see their loved ones before the trials, the quest tests their loyalty, their love, and their lives. Sounds good. Sounds good. I really like that Lauren Roberts decided to do this as well because, because there's definitely some blanks that need filled in. We saw bits and pieces from Peyton's point of view of Adina, but we didn't actually see what was happening when she was going back to Lut, so I'm curious. This is so cool to me. Another book that is on my TBR, I'm going to stop after here, is Spark of the Everflame by Pencole. And this is book one of the Kindreds. Book one of the Kindreds Curse Saga. I've heard amazing things about this book. A lot of people raving about it online, so I think there's a good few books in it as well. So this is book one of 4, and the 4th book comes out on the 1st of June 2024, so this looks like a really good book series. I've heard it. Yeah, this looks really, really good. It looks like it'll be up my street. I've heard it compared to Throne of Glass, which I've not read yet, and I do want to read. I've heard it compared to Court of Thorns and Roses, Serpent and the Wings at Night. Lots of books